On February 1, 1995, Richey Edwards and James Dean Bradfield of the Manic Street Preachers were scheduled to fly to the USA to promote the band's third album, The Holy Bible. The evening before, after 5 days of studio work on a handful of new songs, bandmates Nicky Wire and Sean Moore went back home to Wales, while James and Richey got into Richey's Vauxhall Cavalier and drove to the Embassy Hotel on Bayswater Road in London. They had planned a small pub crawl, but when James knocked on Richey's door in room 516 a little later, Richey had changed his mind and said he would rather stay in the room instead. Around 7 a.m. the next morning, Richey left the Embassy Hotel, got into his car, drove to Wales, and then vanished without a trace. 30 years have passed, and Richey has never been seen since. Welcome to Bad Things. As usual, we'll be looking at the timeline, the known facts, and the theories to determine what most likely happened to Richey Edwards. Richey Edwards was born on December 22, 1967, in Blackwood, Wales. He grew up in a working-class family and was known as a bright and sensitive child. Richey attended Oakdale Comprehensive School, where he excelled academically and was known for his love of literature and art. After school, he went on to study political history at Swansea University, where he earned a 2:1 degree. During his university years, Richey reconnected with childhood friends James Dean Bradfield, Nicky Wire, and Sean Moore, who were in the early stages of forming a band that would become the Manic Street Preachers. Initially, Richey started out as a roadie and driver for the band, but his close friendship with the members and his creative contributions, particularly in lyric writing and his strong opinions about the sound, soon led him to officially join as the band's rhythm guitarist and lyricist in 1989. Richey's intellectual depth and intense personality became central to the band's image and lyrics. He quickly became one of the more vocal members in interviews, and many remember him for an infamous interview with NME journalist Steve Lamacq on May 15, 1991. The band had been facing skepticism about their sincerity and authenticity, particularly regarding their punk-inspired, politically charged image. Due to this, Lamacq questioned the band's commitment to their ideals, implying that their image might be more about marketing than genuine belief. In response, Richey wanted to prove his sincerity. He calmly took out a razor blade and carved the words "for real" into his forearm. The act was quite shocking, resulting in him needing 18 stitches. The moment has since become one of the most infamous in rock history, symbolizing Richey's troubled state of mind and his extreme dedication to the band's ethos. The incident also highlighted the pressure he felt to live up to the ideals he expressed through his music and public persona. This also brings us to a side of him that's vital for understanding his story. He struggled with significant mental health issues throughout his life. He dealt with severe depression, self-harm, anorexia, and alcohol abuse. His mental state was reflected in his lyrics, which often explored themes of despair, existentialism, and self-destruction. He was hospitalized several times due to this, including a stay at the Priory Clinic in Roehampton and Whitchurch Hospital in Cardiff. His condition deteriorated in the months leading up to his disappearance in February 1995, and since the band got bigger almost by the day in this period, his decline was there for all to see. Having released their debut album Generation Terrorist in 1992, it was their third album, The Holy Bible, 1994, that would solidify their reputation as one of the most intense and intellectually provocative bands of their time. The album's dark themes, reflective of Richey Edwards' struggles with mental health, resonated deeply with fans and critics alike. On February 1st, James and Richey were supposed to take a flight to the USA for a promotional tour for the album. Instead, on that morning, he was seen leaving the Embassy Hotel in London, where he had been staying with James. This sighting was captured on CCTV. Later that day, it was reported that he crossed the Severn Bridge at 2:55 p.m., based on a toll booth receipt. In 2018, ITV could reveal news concerning what time Richey was at the bridge. His sister Richey Edwards was hopeful that this could bring fresh leads. She spoke to ITV Cymru Wales at the time and said that they were told Richard had crossed the Severn Bridge at 2:55 p.m, but it was actually at 2:55 a.m, according to the toll booth receipt. She said, "We were led to believe there was an 8-hour window between his time of departing the hotel to crossing the bridge on that same day. But it's since come to light by tracking down the person who made the bridge's time recording machines and making inquiries that that was a 24-hour clock. It always was, so that meant 2:55 was 2:55 a.m. So we were appealing to people to have seen him at certain times that day, when actually those times are meaningless now. However, since then the trail has remained cold. No body has ever been found, and people have only been able to speculate as to what happened to Richey all those years ago. 2 weeks after his disappearance, his car was discovered abandoned at a service station near the Severn Bridge. This is the last known trace of Richey Edwards. Despite the fact that Richey Edwards has never been found, only a few theories are considered somewhat plausible. For once, very few suspect that anything criminal has occurred. Richey's struggles were mostly internal, and there has never been sufficient evidence presented to suggest that he had enemies or adversaries who wished him harm. While the possibility that there could have been a deranged fan, or for that matter a completely random perpetrator, cannot be ruled out 100%, we won't discuss it in depth, as it will never be more than pure speculation and thought experiments. So the first theory is that Edwards unalived himself. As mentioned, 2 weeks after the last confirmed surveillance images from London, his car was found at a service station near the Severn Bridge, which connects England and Wales. Tragically, this bridge is a common sight for people who want to end things, and the strong currents in the area can easily carry a body out into the Bristol Channel, making it disappear. The second theory is that he staged his own death to start anew somewhere else. In the first 10 years after he disappeared, he was reportedly seen in various locations around the world. The book Withdrawn Traces was published in 2019. It's written by Sarah Hawkes Roberts and Leon Noakes, with foreword by Richey's sister Rachel. It presented new clues that he may have planned to deliberately vanish. They included his apparent fascination with disappearance while he was a schoolboy, and a meeting he later had with an unnamed woman at Cardiff's Whitchurch Hospital, who later left for Israel. Also, in the weeks before his disappearance, he allegedly spoke of wanting to go to Israel, and even got a tattoo on his arm featuring the word Jerusalem. Others of the more credible sightings come from India and the Spanish islands of Fuerteventura and Lanzarote. Former Sony Music employee Espen Omdal was the Manic Street Preachers' label representative in Norway from 1992 to 1995. He spent 3 days in Oslo with the band in 1992, during which time he took them to the Munich Museum to see Richey's favourite paintings, The Scream and Vampire. According to him, some sort of friendship developed during those days. Fast forward to February 2002, and Omdal was sitting in the British sports bar Underground Pub in Fuerteventura. While I was there, to my utter astonishment, I noticed that the only other guest was Richey Edwards, or so my brain quickly explained to me. A man who looked exactly like Richey. Same face, same eyes, the same slender body. Of course, I couldn't help but stare. After a while, I think he got up and left, but I'm not entirely sure, and details like hairstyle and outfit I don't remember either. This quote is from Omdal himself in his podcast Mysteria Richey Edwards. Richey Edwards, the Mystery. In fact, there are multiple sightings of him on this island, but as you've probably guessed, none of them has ever been confirmed. The fact that the band continued to deposit 25% of their royalties into a bank account in Richey's name for many years suggests that they either believed or at least held out hope that he might still be alive. We'd like to mention that we cannot rule out the possibility that something criminal occurred. For example, it is conceivable that he became a victim of random violence, or that someone captured him and covered it up. However, there is no evidence to support this, and it would require numerous assumptions to piece together a plausible timeline. However, we'd love to hear your theories in the comments if you have any. We believe, sad as it is, that Richey Edwards unalived himself and jumped from the Severn Bridge. The reason for this is that everything adds up. The car was found close to the bridge. The bridge is a well-known spot for people seeking to end things. The currents would take the body out to the Bristol Channel and further out in the ocean. Add to this his mental state, which was obviously getting worse the last years before he vanished. He was open about periods of deep depression and got help for dealing with it on more than one occasion. The sightings of him have never been confirmed. Of course they haven't. Espen Omdahl, the Sony Music employee that thought he saw him on that bar in Fuerteventura, summarizes it well. To be honest, if you were a British rock star who had gone to extreme lengths to disappear without a trace, and then live a secret life in hiding abroad, would you really visit an English pub in a tourist town filled with Brits all year round? I find that hard to believe, especially considering that Richey's disappearance was covered in great detail over several years by the British tabloid press. Although his bandmates and others close to him expressed hope that he'd still be alive for many years, it just seems very unlikely at this point. He appeared to be on the mend after years of self-harming and alcoholism spiraling out of control, and piecing together all these aspects makes the Severn Bridge theory the most likely one. Do you agree with our analysis? Did we miss something? We'd love to hear your view in the comments. If you love our content and want to support the channel, feel free to check our web shop where you can find exclusive true crime merch brought to you by Bad Things.